Hello guys, welcome to the Codramas. Today we are going to learn Dockerizing a Django application. So what is Docker and why is it necessary to run a Django application or any other application on Docker in the cloud environments? Mostly we are going to use this Docker in the cloud environments, and here also we are going to talk about the cloud machines. So whenever I refer to a machine, it means we are talking about a cloud machine. Most of the times our local systems are accessed by us only, so there are no multiple users who can use this system. But in case of a web application or any other application, we will deploy it on another machine, and from there the world can access it. So many people can access that application. There we have to be more cautious, and our application should run more robust, and a user can interact with that application very easily. Let's see how Dockerizing an application can make the application very fast for the users to interact. To understand Docker, we have to go to the earlier days. So let's say we have a machine with 8 GB RAM and 4 core processors. In earlier days, what happens is that we have to install a OS on this machine to interact with this machine, and then we will install our application in that machine and we will run it. So what is the problem with this traditional method? So here for example our application only uses 4 GB RAM and 2 core processors. So here the resources are not completely used. So every time the 4 GB RAM and 2 core processors are set empty, they are not doing any work. So people thought that we have to do something so that we can use these leftover resources as well. So here comes the concept of the virtual machines. So in a machine, we can install multiple virtual machines on our system with the required configurations of our choice. So here I have created two virtual machines and assigned 4 GB RAM to core processors each. So here I have segregated one large machine into two small machines. For each virtual machine to communicate, we have to install an external OS again into these virtual machines. And here we have solved one type of problem, that earlier we can only run one application at a time in one machine, but now we can run multiple applications in a one machine. But for example, inside this virtual machine 1, if the application only uses one core processor and 2 GB RAM, what can happen? So we should again divide this machine into another virtual machine, which is a hectic work. And also every time when we install a new virtual machine, we have to install another OS. This obviously takes some memory and also redundant installation of the OS every time we create a virtual machine. So now here comes the Docker. What Docker says that I will containerize your applications, and this time I don't need an external OS to be installed in my system. So what my containers will do is that they will use the original machine's OS for communication. So here we solved a major problem of installing the OS again and again whenever we create a machine. So this is very efficient and a fast process. And talking about the resource allocation, the resources are dynamically allocated for these containers. So whenever a single container wants more resources, it automatically takes the more resources, and vice versa for all the containers. So in this way, the resources are also optimizedly used by each container. So it's like one application is being run in one container. For example, let's take a Django application. So what we need for a Django application to be run? So first we need a Django application, then we need Postgres database, and in real world we also need Redis server and many other servers. So for running a single application, we need many containers, like one container for Django application, one container for Postgres database, and the other for the Redis server or any other things. So here again comes the DockerCompose. A DockerCompose is nothing but a combination of all containers which are needed for a single application. In DockerCompose, we can define all the required services. Services are nothing but containers which are used for a single application. The DockerCompose makes it more easier. Let's see a few advantages of using Docker. So Docker ensures our application runs consistently in various environments like our testing environment or production environment. And it is also a lightweight and efficient way to isolate our applications and its dependencies from other applications as well. And it eliminates one of the problem where people used to say it works on my machine and not the other one. So using Docker is very easy. First we need to install the Docker on our system, and then we have to write a Docker file where we will give all the requirements. I will show you how a Docker file actually looks. This is the Docker file. According to the given requirements in this Docker file, the Docker creates an image first. A Docker image is lightweight and executable package that includes everything needed to run an application. For example, the code, libraries, and any other system tools. With this Docker file, the actual container runs. A container is nothing but it's an instance of a Docker image that runs as a process on our host machine. So as I said, DockerCompose is also a file which is .yml file. I will show you how to write this DockerCompose file and Docker file. It's just for an example to show you how these are written. So inside services we have containers, like one is online examination API. This is the name of the container, and the other container is DB, and I have another containers as well, like mailhog. So there are three different containers running using one DockerCompose file. So as I earlier said, a DockerCompose is again a YML file where you can define all your containers for that particular application at one place. This DockerCompose file makes it easy to manage complex applications with multiple interconnected components. We can say interconnected containers. And also we can start or stop all these containers with a single command. This is how a Docker improves the robustness of the application at the cloud level, which directly improves the fastness for a user to interact with our application. In the next video, I will show you how to write a Docker file and a DockerCompose file for a Django application. If this video is helpful for you, please like, share and comment. Thank you.